Welcome to KBS World Radio. You're now tuned into Korea24's Korea Book Club, where we explore the world of Korean literature. This is our weekend replay edition, playing back our book segment from Wednesday's show. I hope you enjoy it. I'm your host, Alana Hill. And today we're joined by our literary critic, Barry Welch, for our weekly book segment. Welcome to the show, Barry.
Hello, great to be here.
Let's get right into it. What book are you introducing to our listeners today?
So this week's pick is The Call of the Friend by Jaehoon Choi, translated by Janet Hong, and the Korean title is 친구의 부름, and it's a short, eerie graphic novel set mostly in a cramped basement flat where we have a university student called Wonjun who drops in on his classmate 친구 and finds that something is off. Jingu's gone very cold and distant. There's a strange statue in the corner that feels a bit too alive, and the recent suicide of a K-pop star seems to be having a disturbing effect on the reality around these two young students. So this book is part of a super interesting series called Lovecraft Reanimated, and these are published by Honford Star, and this is a series where Korean writers and artists, this is a graphic novel, I should say, and they remix or create stories that are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Mm-hmm. And these are stories which have this sort of creeping sense that the world is bigger and darker and uncannier than we would like to admit. And of course, H.P. Lovecraft was an American writer from the early 20th century, who essentially invented a cosmic horror, so sort of stories in which these ancient, unknowable forces and beings and entities toy with humanity, and where individuals, causing sort of human sanity to fray around the edges.
So what's The Call of Friend actually about, and what kind of horror are we talking here?
Yeah, right, okay, so it does seem like a very small story on the surface of it. So you have a university student, young undergraduate student called Wonjun, and he drops by his friend Chingu's little one-room apartment, little basement apartment, because Chingu has stopped showing up to class, and his classmates and friends are worried about him. And inside, just something doesn't feel right. Just something feels wrong. The air feels wrong. Jingu is very curt and distant. There's a strange statue that Wonjun's never seen before, sort of just lurking in the corner. And then moments from this conversation seem to sort of loop or repeat, these little snippets of dialogue, the doorway into this little one room, and even some of the scenes of them having this conversation. It's as if there's a sort of loose thread in time that keeps snagging. It's very strange and unsettling how this works. So you get these sort of looping, kind of repeating scenes. And this sort of everyday visit becomes very awkward, but it slowly sort of peels back into something bigger and colder and much stranger. So we learn that Jingu's sister was sort of a K-pop trainee at one of these big sort of music production record companies, and she has recently died by suicide amid a scandal involving the CEO. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's all sorts of rumours about this going around. And the story is partly about this grief, and then also this rumour mill that's sort of churning around it, and then it kind of bleeds into the sort of strange cosmic space. And this statue becomes this kind of pressure point for the story. The more you notice it, the more Wonjun notices it, the less solid the room, and then his memory of what's happened between these people sort of begins to become increasingly unstable. Mm-hmm. So the horror here, it isn't sort of jump scares or anything like that. It's that very Lovecraftian feeling that reality is indifferent and unstable, and that and here it's sort of the idea that your own guilt, maybe Wonjun's guilt, or maybe it's Chingu's guilt somehow, something is warping reality. And so Choi takes these very recognizable stresses from the news in Korea, celebrity exploitation, and bystander or netizens complicity, the way that gossip can ruin people, ruin careers, and lets this all sort of curdle into this kind of cosmic dread. And because it's a graphic novella, sort of a short graphic story, that unease is physical, right? We see these loops in time. They show up as repeated panels in the story. This little one-room sort of basement, the room kind of closes in on you and closes in on Won-jun, and he starts to doubt, and we start to doubt, what are we actually seeing here? Mm-hmm. And then by the end, so it's still, technically on the surface, it's this friendship story, one friend just checking in on another, but underneath this is really quite a sort of a complex moral issue. And the scariest question here isn't, what is the monster that's lurking? It's more who owns the guilt. Someone has to ask of themselves, what did I do, and can I ever take it back?
And Barry, you mentioned Lovecraft. How does this book reimagine him for a Korean setting?
Yeah, right. So again, this is super interesting. So one part that what people often associate with Lovecraft is, these otherworldly entities, the tentacled entities or ancient otherworldly temple ruins. So it's not that kind of Lovecraft that we see here. It's the feeling that Lovecraft pioneered, that sort of cosmic indifference and minds kind of slipping and fraying at the edges, but recast with these very contemporary Korean themes or textures. So we don't have ancient kind of texts and the otherworldly beings. We have this sort of cramped basement, one room, this sort of scandal of this K-pop death, and then this very strange mute statue that seems to warp time whenever Won-jun focuses on it. And Choi keeps this sort of central Lovecraftian kind of move or kind of twist in the story. You have these ordinary people who have brushed against something that they can't comprehend, and here he sort of ties this to these modern engines of guilt or dread, so rumor economies and parasocial fandom and these kind of things. But it is really a story about guilt, about about who's responsible, about looking away from things until it's too late to do anything about it. So the cosmos here is more the systems that are bigger than one person. So the industry machine, the internet sort of rumor mill, the bystanders who see these kind of awful things happening, and this makes kind of reality feel hostile and difficult to understand. And then visually, the book is reanimating the Lovecraft atmosphere. So it's all black and white. You have these stark black and white drawings, and the Choi leans on these tight, low ceilings and repeating panels where scenes loop, and you kind of see Won-jun's sanity fray visually. And that's a very clever upgrade of the sort of Lovecraft horror into page design. Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of turning inward to examine Won-jun's complicity in these things that have happened. I'm trying not to be too specific here. So the unknown here, it's not just a distant menace, but it's this gap between what someone has done or what they've should have done or something like this. And the title call isn't really, it's this idea of you're being drawn towards a reckoning with something that you need to resolve, right? Maybe you owe somebody something, right? And you're sort of being called towards it. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was The Call of the Friend by Choi Jaehoon, translated by Janet Hong. Thanks so much for walking us through it, Barry, and we'll look forward to your next recommendation.
Okay, take care.